Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Lincoln City's pre-match show Matchday Live. The Imps hosting Crewe Alexandra at the LNER Stadium, looking of course to bounce back from that disappointing defeat to Fleetwood Town in the midweek. Coming up on this afternoon's show, we've got a lot to get through, so I'm going to go straight to it and bring Gary Hutchinson straight into the fold. Gary, lovely to see you. First of all, the topic this afternoon, Gary, I'm going to put it straight to you and to you watching at home as well, is what you miss most about match days. Of course, Sunday will mark a year to the day since 9,000 fans packed into the LNER Stadium to watch the Imps overcome Burton Albion. So, Gary, what do you miss most about match days at the LNER Stadium?
I probably can't say everything, although I do. I'll pick two things. First of all, just that moment when a goal goes in, that kind of collective joy that spreads through 8,000 people. There's no feeling quite like it. And I've also missed full English breakfasts with my dad at 9:30, arguing about team selection in rugby.
Yeah, full English breakfast wouldn't go amiss, would it? Do get your comments in for this one as well. What do you miss most about match days? And I'll do my best to read them out throughout the course of the show. Just to let you know what else is coming up on this afternoon's Matchday Live, we'll be speaking to the new Lincoln City women's manager, Lee Mitchell, later on. Really looking forward to that chat. We're also going to have the results of the Ultimate Imps raffle, or some of the results. Anyway, not the results in full. We're going to be sort of fleeting those out throughout the course of this season. But in terms of some of the prizes, we'll be bringing you those later on in the show. Gary, let's talk about the midweek then. Disappointing, wasn't it? This is what happens, though, in football, isn't it? You have the highs and the lows. It's all the part of being a football fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael said at the beginning of the season that there would be sticky patches and we'd have to all sort of pull together. And I don't really think that's happened. You know, on the occasions where we've lost a couple of games back to back earlier in the season, we've always pulled it around and kept momentum. And this is a really difficult 6-game run, I think. Is it 6 games, 1 win? But these moments do happen. We have been decimated by injuries. We have started seeing some green shoots of revival, certainly around 1 or 2 of the injured players. So there were some positives to take from the Fleetwood game. And I think it's always important as a football fan, as a pundit, as anything, when you're doing well, to look for the little areas to be critical. And when you're doing badly, look for the areas to be positive about. And it helps you retain some balance.
Yeah, let's have a look back at that Fleetwood defeat then, Gary, and you can analyse it for us. We never really got going, did we?
No, we didn't. I don't think we were as bad in the first half as we were for the first 13 minutes against Plymouth. I think had that chance gone in, which was a really good chance, by the way, had that gone in, I think we would have put foothold in the game. I think Fleetwood were the sort of side who grew in confidence. They grew from the fact we weren't playing particularly well. So we did miss 1 or 2 good chances early doors. Another one here from Anthony Scully. We look lively. But unfortunately, we also feel a little fragile at the moment. I don't think there's a problem with confidence in the side. But I do think that when we conceded the goal, it knocked our confidence. And our worst spell came after they scored and the first sort of 15, 20 minutes of the second half.
One of the slight problems that when teams come to the LNER, they know that if they get a result or get a win, that they're getting a scalp. And with that comes not extra motivation, if you like, but there seemed to be a bit of a buoyancy about Fleetwood.
Yeah, definitely. There isn't the intimidating atmosphere as well. So were we to go 1 goal down in a normal fixture with fans in the stadium, I think it can be harder for a team to maintain their composure against us. And unfortunately, it was the opposite on Tuesday. We didn't maintain our composure. It was a really easy goal for Fleetwood to concede, which I'm sure Michael would be absolutely furious about. I think a lot of people were disappointed with this result because we lost. But in actual fact, in terms of performance, we probably played better than we did when we beat Wigan 2-1. So we need to keep a little bit of context and perspective, I think, going into the next couple of games.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary, I mean, look, we're seeing the goal there from Callum Morton. We have to discuss that. And that is one of the big positives to take from Tuesday night, wasn't it? He looked sharp. You know, you're out for 5 months or so. It doesn't matter who you are as a striker. To finish like that does bode really well. Obviously, it was a goal that didn't mean anything in terms of points, but how important could that be going forward, certainly for the remainder of Callum's season?
Yeah, well, it's a huge boost for him. We didn't expect to see him back in the side, did we? I thought he might get 10 minutes at the end of the game. I didn't ever envisage him coming on and having quite the impact. And by the way, a great assist from Alex Palmer. And I think from the wider point of view, we've spoken about how Callum coming back is going to offer us something different going forward. I think he's a little bit more of a natural number 9, and there's certainly been games where we've needed that, not least on Tuesday night, certainly a week last Tuesday when we drew with Swindon as well. So it's really important from a squad point of view to see what is an exciting young player coming back. Great to see him get his goal. It shows his confidence straight away. I think he's going to be a big player for us over the next 10, 15 games. And if we are to stay in the automatic promotion race, I envisage his goals helping us to do so.
Yeah, we'll talk formations or potential Michael Appleton formations shortly. I mentioned getting comments in about what you miss most about match days. Cornell says, what I miss most about match days is the atmosphere from the 617 squadron, Mandem, I think he means, Crewe, and cheering on the Lincoln City FC. Niall says the away days, especially pre-match on the away days. Absolutely, Niall. I saw another good one as well. Let's see if I can go to it, from Brian. I miss the sound of the 617 fans erupting as the players come out of the tunnel. Gives you goosebumps. It certainly does. I mentioned that we'll be talking all things formations. That's exactly what Michael Appleton was asked in his pre-match press conference yesterday. This is what he had to say with regards to playing a 4-4-2.
Well, it does. It definitely gives us options, and I think changing formation is no problem at all as long as you do it at the right time against the right teams, and certainly gives us something to think about tomorrow. I know Crewe themselves have gone pretty much 4-4-2 recently and gone a little bit more direct with Porter and Mandron up top, and very un-Crewe-like to a degree. But you know, it certainly gives us that option, and as long as we do it at the right time, like I say, against the right teams, and it works for us, not against us, that's the most important thing.
Is it nice as a manager to have that option now, whereas most of the season you've been tied to what you've played because of the personnel available?
Yeah, very much so, definitely. You know, don't get me wrong. I think we've had a certain way that's suited us this year, and our success has come from, you know, playing with a 4 and 2/8 all season. That's where our success has come from. So there's no getting away from that, and it'd be important to try and, you know, maintain that if we've got the players available. But like you say, sometimes you do need to mix it up, whether it's in the, you know, right from the start or late in games like we've seen the other day. Even when you're heading games, you know, even when you're heading games with the half an hour to go, to take the game away from the opposition rather than sort of thinking, can we hold on and what do we need to do to make sure we see out this game?
As you say, Crewe have changed shape the last couple of weeks, changed the way they play. Has that surprised you?
Yes and no. I mean, all I would say is that when we sort of played them early on in the season, not the cup game, but the league game, you know, David did say after the game, like, you know, I think if you can remember, last half an hour they did the same, and they really sort of put us to the sword and went very direct and put the ball right on us. And he said that he gave us a big compliment on the night, so he's never had to do that in a game before, which is a compliment to how we set up and how we played. And you know, it'll be interesting to see, you know, what they do in terms of whether they try and match us up or whether they stick to what they have done over the last couple of games.
Yeah, Michael Appleton speaking to BBC Radio Lincolnshire's Rob Makepeace there. Never likes to give too much away, does he, Gary? Question straight to you. Do you expect to see a 4-4-2 this afternoon?
No, is the answer. I think that he will stick with his tried and tested method early doors and retain the opportunity of changing it later on if it's not working. I don't think he's going to get Callum Morton back and immediately pitch him and Tom Hopper on the same field and then not still have the options on the bench. So one will play, I think, and one will be on the bench.
Plenty of comments coming in, not least from one of the star men this season. George Grant has commented. George, we're pleased that you're watching, but we'd rather, of course, be seeing you on the pitch. So obviously, get well soon in terms of the fitness. Looking forward to seeing you back on the LNER pitch, no doubt about that. Stuart Wells has commented saying, missing the routine of a match day as a whole. I don't miss being the designated driver to away games. Good to hear from you, Stu, as well. Gary, you've picked your Lincoln City starting 11 this afternoon. Always a difficult task, because when I ask you to do it, I know you're setting yourself up for a fall, so I appreciate you doing it. Let us know who you've gone with.
Okay, so I have indeed. I have picked, I don't know if people can see that. So across the back, I've actually brought Cohen Bramall in the side on today. I think Teo, I think, offers more protection in front of the back four. Don't think it worked with James Jones in front of the back four. And I've got a sneaky suspicion it might be an afternoon where James Jones has a decent game against his former teammates. He understands the players. It could be a return to form for him. And Michael said there about playing the 4 and double 8s. I think he'll stick with that. Conor McGrandles has been one of our most informed players of late as well, so he keeps his place. For me, it's time to take Johnson out of the 10 role or midfield or wherever we've been playing him. Use Rodgers and Johnson in the most effective areas that we can, which is out wide where they can get at defenders. I mean, Morgan Rodgers has been so direct. He's taken a lot of criticism, but he dribbles the ball more than any of the players that we have. Tom Hopper is the focal point, I expect again. Other than that, I think there's a fairly standard look about the side. I've swapped Ayoma for Poole as well, in my opinion, just to keep things a little bit fresh.
Interesting. Great stuff. A few comments coming in with regards to that. Quite a few in agreement with you as well, Gary, which is always a good sign.
It is, yeah. I often hear the words, I don't agree with everything you write, but I don't expect people to always agree. Football's a great game for opinions as well. So I'm always interested to hear what other people think rather than just my own.
It's all part of being a manager, isn't it, Gary? And delighted to say that we've got a manager on the line as well now, the new Lincoln City women manager. Lee Mitchell joins us. Lee, delighted to see you. Congratulations on the new job as well. You must be absolutely over the moon.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Hi, Gary.
Hi.
Over the moon. It's a great opportunity and an exciting time to get involved with the women's team. So looking forward to moving the club and the team forward, to be fair, yeah.
7 years in New Jersey, I've got in my notes here as well, with the National Soccer Coaches Association, Lee. You've been in the United Arab Emirates as well as a sporting director. It's quite the CV, but you're a Lincoln lad and you're back home.
Yeah, if you'd have asked me that a few years ago, I wouldn't have said I'd be back here in Lincolnshire. But yeah, it's funny how it happens. It comes around full circle. You go on your travels, you get some great experiences. All of them involved in football and different cultures, and here I am back in Lincolnshire and back in Lincoln where it all began. In
terms of sorry, Gary, go on, you go.
Sorry, Leah, I was just really interested actually because obviously Lincoln women have evolved from Netlam ladies. How important is it for the female game to have those kind of hooks with the professional male game in terms of both raising awareness, raising profile, and attracting players?
Yeah, it's pretty significant. You know, Lincoln, as you guys know, it's a well-respected club. It's a club that's in the hub of the community, and to be associated with Lincoln, it brings a lot of quality to the club. That, you know, the women's team. It also attracts players with it being a big name, and it gives a more professional outlook and helps us support in the direction we want to go. We want, in our own right, we want to be successful as a women's team, and we want to move forward. And that support from the club and associating with the men's side is huge, really. So we're forever grateful for that, and something that we want to foster and move forward with.
Now, Lee, the season's been curtailed since, the back end of December, the start of January. Before then, the side, and I know you were assistant manager, of course, before taking the managerial role this week, the side were going great guns, weren't they? A 5-0 win, a 10-0 defeat, no less, against Burton Albion as well. It seems like you've got quite some side here in step 4 as well at the moment. So if you were to get promoted, you'd be within one division of the likes of Liverpool. There's a really exciting project here, isn't there?
Oh, it's a great project. I mean, the club's going from strength to strength. The vision of the board, the staff that we currently have in place, and the players that we have, not just in the first team, but coming through the development team and the youth there. It's a really exciting time. And, you know, like you say, the results, they're all going in the right direction. We're ambitious. We want to go for that promotion. And we want to keep moving forward. And, you know, it's all in touching distance, and it's all very realistic. It's just getting the plan in place and going about it the way that we want to. So it's really exciting, and I'm grateful for the opportunity there.
Cornell says Lee Mitchell will lead the Imps women's team to an FA Cup run. And you've actually got, I mean, I mentioned that the season itself had been curtailed since the back end of last year, but you've got an FA Cup game coming up, haven't you? It's Easter Sunday, West Bromwich Albion away. Massive game. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so as you may know, we've faced West Brom before, and they've been tight games, and we've never quite beat them as yet. They're the league above, so it's always a tough game. So we're going to have to prepare as best we can. Everybody's in the same boat. We've been without football for some time now, but starting Monday, now we've got that information. The players will be back training 3 times a week on their own. They'll have a fitness and conditioning program specific to them. They'll do that until we can get together, which we'll probably have about 2 sessions together again as a team before we face West Brom, which will be a tough ask, but we're confident and we believe in ourselves, and we'll go there with that confidence and do the best we can under the circumstances, and hope we can cause an upset for sure.
If you look below, it says on the ticker there, thank you to our Matchday sponsors this afternoon. Absolutely. Lisa, the Lady Imps Supporters Association, much appreciated for your support, of course. And I've got one of the Lincoln City women's shirts here as well. And the sponsorship there, Pygott and Crewe, I know have been hugely helpful in helping with everything in terms of the women's team so far this season. Lee, how important is that community aspect? Obviously, at the moment, we're all stuck at home, but it's a city that really appreciates women's football, isn't it?
It is. I mean, within the city and within the county itself, women's football is just exploding. You look at the Wildcat programs and all the clubs that are supporting girls' football. There's got to be a place for those girls to go play football. So there has to be more women's teams to cater for the amount of girls that are constantly coming to the programs and adding all the time. So Lincolnshire's fantastic. You've got teams at county level, regional levels, and obviously ourselves at the national level. So there's a home for everybody. And I think it's only going to get better and better all the time. So it's fantastic. It's a great time to be involved in women's football, to be fair.
Jess McLean as well says, up the Imps, no one better to step in and take the club forward. Nice words from Jess there. Just finally, have you had a chance to see any of the men's team in action so far this season? I know you've been busy.
Yeah, no, I haven't. To be honest, I haven't had a chance to see it. Between homeschooling the 4 kids at home and one thing or another with the club, and it's been absolute manic. And as you can imagine, it's been non-stop. But I will be doing in time, of course, and looking to connect with them. And I do keep an eye on the results and how things are going, and they pings up on my phone when they're going, the goals are going in. So I do stay connected, but I'd like to see them a little bit more when I get the time to do so, for sure.
You're a busy man, Lee. We appreciate your time and the very best of luck in that big FA Cup game against West Brom as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Lovely to speak to the new Lincoln City FC women's manager, Lee Mitchell there. Plenty more information on weareimps.com as well. Of course, we're into March now, which means that we can see February's goal of the month. These are some of the picks from that month of February. Yeah, some lovely February strikes in there, weren't there? In terms of who's winning that, you can vote now by going to Lincoln City's Twitter. Tom Hopper, you won't be surprised to know, leads the way on 71%, his goal against Wigan. Conor McGrandles versus Plymouth, 10%. Morgan Rogers versus Accrington, 5%. And Conor McGrandles versus Gillingham, 14%. So you can go and vote now on the club's official Twitter page. Gary, which one are you going for?
Well, now you've given me the numbers, I can't pick any other than Tom Hopper. No, do you know, it was a superb goal. You know, it was a wonderful pass from George. Lovely little ball that split the defence. With some other nice goals in there as well. I think when you've either got a player running directly with the ball or with a long range strike, they tend to get more votes than the intricate goals. But it's nice to see 2 from Conor McGrandles in there. He's really coming on song, I think, at the moment. So, yeah, I'm really pleased with Conor.
Certainly is. Gary, you're a bandwagon jumper. We'll allow it, don't worry. Let's talk about Alex Palmer then. We're going to hear from him very shortly as well. It's been a tough month or so for Alex, hasn't it? But he's, you know, we saw with the brilliant assist there, he showed some real character. And it's easy to forget, isn't it, that he is still such a young keeper.
Yeah, it is. It has been a tough month in terms of 1 or 2 errors. Obviously, the Swindon one and the Accrington one, I think, stand out. But I think if you take those away, he's actually had a decent month. And probably because the defence in front of him have been a little bit unsure at times, he's conceded some goals that really aren't his fault. And yet when you concede 3 or 4 goals or even 2 goals at home, it reflects on the goalkeeper probably worse than it should do. I think a classic one was, he made a mistake in Swindon. He actually made 2 good stops from free kicks. I think when you look at Fleetwood, there was very, very little that he could do about the goals. The first one saw very, very late, came through a crowd of players. You don't expect him to stop that. The second one as well, just left really exposed. So people say he's in credit. Yes, he is. His job is to stop shots, but I think he is still doing that. So it looks a rough patch on paper for him, but I'd still rather have him than virtually any other goalkeeper in League One in the sticks for us.
Absolutely. Let's hear from now. This was what he had to say in his pre-match press conference yesterday.
I think it's just part and parcel of the job, and that's a fact, really. It won't be it's not the first mistake I've made. It won't be the last mistake I'll make. So it's just one of those ones everyone makes, and you've just got to move on. And I think being around, obviously, such a good group of lads, it's sort of quite easy. Nobody lets it hang over your head. You just got to move on as quick as possible. Obviously, it was disappointing at the time, just before half time, sort of got ourselves back into the game. But yeah, it's just one of those things that happens in football. So I've just got to move on and look to make sure that doesn't sort of happen again.
Does it help you as a goalkeeper to refocus going into the next few games?
Potentially, yeah. That's, to be fair, I haven't thought about that. But yeah, potentially, it just makes you sort of hone on everything a little bit more, maybe. But I think just with the amount of games you play now, it's one of those ones that you're going to make mistakes, whether they're start of the season, end of the season, wherever. It's sort of it's part and parcel of it. So it's obviously disappointing to do so. It's one of those ones.
It's been a strange couple of weeks, really, because the team have been conceding a lot of goals after being so good defensively in the first half of the season. What do you put that down to, do you think?
I think we're trying to work on it too. We're trying to find out the reasons why, but potentially it's just going off a little bit of what we had at the start of the season, which was that sort of real fight and real hunger to sort of be difficult to break down. I think obviously with teams now understand how we try and play, they're gonna be able to find sort of weaknesses in our game, but it's our job to try and sort of eradicate that, and also just try and make sure we're as solid as we have been for most of the season.
Yeah, easy to forget as well. Not only did he get an assist the other night, he nearly got on the score sheet as well. That would have been quite some story, an assist and a goal for a goalkeeper. I think that would have been pretty much unheard of throughout English football. Gary was asked about, 1 or 2 mistakes there, and he's absolutely right, isn't he? It's part and part of football, and especially part and parcel of being a football goalkeeper in League One.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you took every single squad member and marked up the mistakes that they'd made this season, Alex Palmer would be at the bottom of that list because he makes very, very few mistakes. problem that you have when you're a goalkeeper is if you make a mistake, you're the last line of defence and it sticks right out. But I wouldn't think there's another player in the squad that's only made 2 mistakes. He'll bounce back from it. He's a level-headed young man. I've interviewed him on occasion. You can hear it in the way that he speaks. He's very pragmatic. I don't think he's one that will let it affect his confidence at all. And he's a good goalkeeper. Every single keeper in this division will make a mistake. Every single goalkeeper in this division might make 2. But I don't expect him to be making 3, 4, 5 over the next few weeks. I certainly hope that's not the Gary Hutchinson curse that I've just put on him. But he's a very good shot stopper. His defence trusts him. He commands his area very well. He claims balls where they could end up being loose. From corners and free kicks and that sort of thing. And you saw that with the goal. We scored our goal on Tuesday night from their attacking free kick, which he claimed. So, I have every confidence that Alex Palmer will just be solid going forward for the next 15 games.
Got about 2 minutes to go until Alan Long will bring you today's Lincoln City Michael Appleton starting 11. Gary, we've barely mentioned Crewe, have we? What have you made of them so far this season? We'll be speaking to a Crewe Alex fan later on in the show as well. But just in terms of a summary, Gary, what do you say?
Thought Crewe did very well early doors. They were one of the teams who obviously came up last season. It's always very tough to adjust to a new division, not least the way they came up and with struggling budgets as well. It's interested me that they have changed a little bit recently because Crewe have got a reputation for playing the ball around nicely, for building out from the back, that sort of thing. So to go longer to 2 centre forwards who maybe you couldn't really call them veterans, but are certainly, they're certainly target men. They've certainly been around quite a bit. Is very un-Crewe-like. If you take away their 2 centre forwards and look at the rest of their side, though, they've got to be admired. They bring young players through, good young players through as well. Obviously, Perry NG recently moved, but they've got the likes of Harry Pickering, who I've been really impressed with. Crewe Alexandra for me are a very good League One club. It'll be a tough game today. Tough game.
These are the pictures from the LNER Stadium taken only about 20 minutes or so ago. I normally ask you this a couple of minutes before the team news comes to us, Gary, but what's going through the players' minds at this stage? What's going through Michael Appleton's mind at this stage, do you think?
I wouldn't like to call what goes on in Michael's mind, to be honest, but I think the players, they're going to want to put these results behind them. I was lucky enough to be on an interview with Remy Howarth earlier in the week, or a session that we did with some school pupils. And he just said it's a togetherness. They've just got to have the confidence. They believe in themselves, these players, and rightly so. They're good footballers and they're a good team. It's just about coming out in the right frame of mind, starting well, doing what they do, because it's got us where we are today. There's no reinventing the wheel needed. It's just concentration and belief, and I think that they'll have that right now in their minds. Starting
well is a really interesting point, isn't it, Gary? Do you expect to see us come flying out the blocks? Because as a side, it's not something we normally do, is it? But will Michael want to change it from that perspective, do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think he'll want any fundamental changes other than obviously conceding the early goals. I think we'll look to start solid, to not go 1-0 behind through Crewe probably coming at us, and we'll look to build from that. If the chances come early doors, and they have done on a regular occurrence, Regan Pool's header was quite early, then you take them. But I don't think we'll fly out the blocks and put any risk at the back at all. No, I think we'll just play our normal game.
Right then, it's 2:00, which means one thing and one thing only. Alan Long has today's Lincoln City starting 11 for you.
Yeah, thanks, Sam, and welcome back to the LNER Stadium. And I'm at my old season ticket seat, P96. That used to be, back in the day, my season ticket before I started all this PA malarkey. So we thought we'd just come back and have a visit. Well, as you can see, I've got today's team news here, and I can tell you that Tom Hopper and Anthony Scully dropped to the bench, and into the starting lineup come Callum Morton and Cohen Bramall. So the full Imps lineup is number 1 Alex Palmer, at 2 Regan Poole, at 4 Lewis Monsmer, 5 Adam Jackson, 7 Teo Eden, 8 James Jones, 15 Cohen Bramall, 18 Conor McGrandles, 19 Callum Morton, 20 Brennan Johnson, and 27 Morgan Rogers. On the bench today for the Imps, it's 31 Sam Long, number 9 Tom Hopper, number 11 Anthony Scully I should say, number 14 Theo Archibald, number 22 TJ Ioma, 26 Harry Anderson comes back into the lineup, and at 30 Sean Rowan. Quickly run through the starting lineup again. So it's Alex Palmer, Regan Poole, Lewis Monstimer, Adam Jackson, Teo Eden, James Jones, Colin Bramall, Conor McGrandles, Callum Morton, Brennan Johnson and Morgan Rogers. So from my old seat here in the Co-op stand, back to you in the stadium.
Yeah, we enjoy that insight, don't we? And by the way, Tom Scully will be quite some player as well. Yeah, your Lincoln City starting 11 in full then. Palmer, Poole, Jackson, Monsma, Bramall, Eden, McGrandles, Jones, Rogers, Johnson, and Callum Morton starts as well. Long, Hopper, Scully, Archibald, Ioma, Anderson, and Rowan on the bench. Gary, let's go straight to that top line then. Callum Morton starts up front for the Imps.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We weren't expecting him, I don't think, to appear on the subs bench on Tuesday. Weren't expecting him to start today. He does offer, I think, something different to Tom. I think Tom works really, really hard in and out of the box, probably what we would term a false nine. I think Callum tends to be a little bit more direct, perhaps a little bit pacier, you might think as well. It is a relatively young Crewe side. They're relatively young across the middle of the park as well, so probably trying to match energy with energy. And, you know, he's a boy with confidence. He scored a goal in his first appearance back, so it'll be interesting to see what he does this afternoon.
Yeah, and in this season as well, this season of unpredictability, Gary, the amount of games, the schedule, the busy schedule that we've seen so far as well. Add that to the amount of ground that Tom Hopper covers as well. You'd have to say he's due a rest, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's put 3,000 minutes plus into the season so far. Covers a lot of ground, more aerial duels than any other player in the Lincoln City squad at the moment. He gets battered by some big, strong defenders as well. He is due a rest. I think if you speak to some professional footballers and say, "Would you like a rest?" 9 times out of 10, they'll probably say, "No, I want to play every minute of every game that I possibly can." But Michael has to manage his squad. Michael has to manage, for instance, even with the injured players looking to come back, he has to kind of curb their enthusiasm a little bit and make sure they're fully fit. So this is just a good example of squad management, I think.
Yeah, we'll talk about the rest of the Imps starting 11 very shortly, and we'll be speaking to a Crewe Alexandra fan later on in the show as well. In the meantime, delighted to say that the captain, Liam Bridcutt, joins us now. Of course, I know I always say this, Liam, we'd rather you be in the starting 11, but great to see you as ever. How is that injury, and when do you expect to be back?
Yeah, it's all going well. I've had a good few weeks of just building strength back in the calf now. We'll hopefully be back on training next week at some point, and then just making sure I'm ready for the game that I'm called upon, really.
Yeah, I mean, you were playing so well as well. It must, and I said this to Joe Walsh the other night, it must be so frustrating when you're feeling like you're coming back into it, you're coming back into your richest vein of form, if you like, and then something like this happens. How do you deal with those minor setbacks?
Yeah, it's always difficult. Injuries and not being able to perform and get your minutes under your belt. But I think the age and the career that I've had, it's just something that happens in football, and it's just one of them things that you just got to deal with it as best as you can. Lucky enough, we've got good staff and physios and care around us. So it just keeps you on track and just make sure you're ready to go again, really.
You're obviously a very experienced player as well, Liam. I mean, how's the squad dealing with things at the moment? Because it has been such an incredible season. And then these minor setbacks, I said it to Gary at the start of the show, and Gary obviously agreed as well. They do happen in football. It's about dealing with them, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just going to be a case of our response and our character, really. I think, like you said, it happens. It happens at the top end of football, really. If you look at the likes of Liverpool at the minute, going through a tough period, that's just football. It's just how you deal with it. I think we've got a group. We've got great characters, great ambition and drive to go and do what we want to do. I think the case over the last weeks has probably just been a lack of concentration. What's probably let us what's put us behind, really. But I think in terms of what the manager and all the staff are doing with the lads, we'll bounce back quick. No doubt about that.
Can I ask you about Callum Morton? We know that he's in the Imps starting 11 this afternoon. It was brilliant, wasn't it, to see him get on the score sheet in midweek as well. I guess the obvious question is how is he? Yeah,
he's been good. He's been brilliant. He's come back in, good spirits and desperate to play. He's had a long journey in terms of his injury. But it's just good to have him back, and I think you can see that when he come on the other day, just brought a bit of energy, a bit of enthusiastic. He was just desperate to go and get goals and play. I think today is a great opportunity to go and show what he can do. And heard you guys saying before in terms of Hawks, he deserves a rest. He needs rest, and I think that's probably the energy behind it in terms of trying to freshen it up and adding something different to the team.
Hopefully, I can ask you one more question before the connection drops out. Looks a little bit ropey, and it's regarding Crewe as well. Young side, good footballing team as well. What are you expecting from them this afternoon?
Yeah, I think it's the same as every game. Every game's going to be tough for us. I think today, like you said, they're a bit more of a footballing side in terms of what we usually come up against. We're expecting them to be energy, want the ball and things like that. But I think the stage we are in our season and how we are as a group and what the manager wants from us, I think it's everything. But every game, we look at teams that we see what their strong points are, their weaknesses are, but we know it's all going to be down to what we do. If we defend right, concentration, and play forward and be positive, I think we know we can go and win any game.
Liam, lovely to see you, and look forward to seeing you back on the LNER pitch very soon. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Liam.
Thanks. Bye.
Liam Bridcutt speaking to us there live from the LNER Stadium. He was playing so well, wasn't he, Gary, before he picked up that calf strain?
He was, yeah, and we're still looking for that replacement, aren't we? Which is why Eden's come into midfield. It didn't really work with the double fours on Tuesday night, and obviously losing George Grant makes it tough as well. I say it on podcasts, in articles. He's pivotal to what we do. He's absolutely key to having a young side. You've got to have somebody experienced, an organizer, a conductor for the orchestra, and that's very much what Liam Bridcutt is. So he's a huge loss. Sooner he's back, the better.
Right then, I mentioned at the top of the show, didn't I, the ultimate Imps raffle, and that we would, I should say, be announcing some of the winners today. So we're not going to be announcing all of the winners. Don't worry, it's going to sort of flow throughout the course of the season as well. Today's prizes is 5 first team signed by all the first team squad match balls. So these are your winners. Number 1 is David Kyle. Well done, David. Ashley Roberts is the second winner as well. Sarah Beth Cartwright, your third winner. Neil Cleary, the fourth winner. And Barbara Atterby. So congratulations to all 5 of you. You are still all, by the way, eligible to win further prizes as well. So don't think just because you've won that prize that you're not eligible to win other ones throughout the season. But very well done. We will be getting you some signed match balls at the end of the season. We've got a few games to play before then, so well done to all of you. Gary, we mentioned Crewe, and we're going to be speaking to a Crewe fan very shortly in the show as well. In terms of their attacking prowess, what are you expecting of them?
Well, I was expecting a kind of a two-pronged attack, but I'm hearing that Mikkel Mandron is actually on the bench for them, which surprises me. He's a player who we were linked with back in the National League days when he was at Eastleigh. He's been at Sunderland. He was at Wigan as well. Really good striker. Apparently he's missing. Chris Porter is a goal getter, though. He can sniff out a chance and put a ball in the back of the net, so he's going to be dangerous. I wonder if they're going to try and match us a little bit, try and play it on the floor. They were really poor when we played them at their place. They didn't give a good account of themselves. They are better than they showed on that evening. We are different to how the team that beat them. I think we relied on Harry Anderson that night, and Lewis Monsma hit the bar from about 100 yards in the first half. So I expect an open game. I expect a passing game. I think it'll be full of energy, and we'll see. It should be a good one for the neutral, but we're not neutral, so I hope it's a good one for Lincoln fans as well.
Yeah, we're certainly not. We're not ashamed to say it either. You mentioned that game that we played against Crewe Alexandra. Here are the highlights from it. Yeah, I recognise that tune. Can't think where though. Delighted to say that Tim Robinson from the Railway Men podcast joins us live. Tim, you've had a chance to look back at that game. Obviously, you'll be hoping for something slightly different this afternoon.
Yeah, I think that was one of our poorer performances of the season, and I think we at the time thought you were the best side we played at that point of the season. And to be honest, I don't think we've seen anyone better since. So definitely be hoping for a different outcome and hopefully a different performance from us.
Well, we'll certainly take that as a compliment. In terms of your side so far this season, then, or certainly since we played you last, how would you summarise it?
I think our season's probably met expectations. We know clubs coming up from League Two have got a relatively good record in League One, and very few of them go back down. We thought we were probably an above average side for a team coming up from League Two, and I think expectations ranged from staying up to maybe playoffs. Personally, I was kind of thinking top half seemed fairly reasonable, and I think unless we go on a ridiculous run now throughout the spring, playoffs are out the window. So yeah, we're looking fairly set. I'm quite confident we'll finish in the top half. So yeah, you know, we started fairly slowly, and then since we've played you, we've had some cracking results. We've had some letdowns, but generally it's kind of been what we wanted and what we expected.
Tim, we've got your starting 11 this afternoon. So if we bring that in, and I'll run you through it. I know you've probably seen it now, but it's Richards, Pickering, Wintle, Lowry, Porter, Kirk, Adebisi, Murphy, Beckles, Walker and Wood. And as Gary Hutchinson rightly pointed out a couple of minutes ago, Mikel Mandron on the bench. What do you make of that?
Yeah, Mandron on the bench is probably the biggest surprise. Look, we're a typical 4-3-3 team. We've played 4-3-3 every game for the last 3 years, with the exception of the last two where we've been 4-4-2 with Porter and Mandron up top together. The team looks to me like we're going to revert back to a 4-3-3 with Porter in the middle and Walker and Charlie Kirk either side of him. So yeah, I don't know whether that would spring a surprise for Michael Appleton that we've gone back from a 4-3-3 after the last couple of games at 4-4-2. But I'll be interested to see certainly how Porter does in the Mandron role, because he doesn't have the physicality or the pace of Mandron. He's more of a poacher, certainly in his old age than Mandron is. He's more of a target man. So it'll be interesting to see how that works.
I'm hoping I'm not about to drop him in it, but I think Gary Hutchinson may well have a question for you, Gary.
Yeah, obviously. Hi, Tim, by the way, sorry. Obviously, just quite interested. Obviously, Perry NG was a big player for you. I just wondered how you'd coped with his departure.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We've got a very highly rated youth team right back, Travis Johnson, who has kind of been in and out of the team. I think in such a condensed season, we've not wanted to play him every week since Perry left. But Perry was such a big player for us anyway. You know, he was our captain, one of our more senior players. So he was always going to be a big loss. We've tried Donovan Daniels, Travis Johnson, Billy Jones in that right back position in the 8 or 10 games since Perry NG left us. And today we're actually playing a young left back, Rio Adebisi, another youth team prospect. He came on when Donovan Daniels went off with an injury at Blackpool after about half an hour on Tuesday night, and did extremely well, set up the equaliser for Walker with a ball over the top. So he's going to play right back again from the look of it. He is left-footed. He might look a little bit like a fish out of water, being both young and left-footed in that right back position. So it'll be interesting to see the battle with your left side of the second players.
Just finally, Tim, then, in a word, a score prediction for this afternoon?
I'm relatively confident. Our last few games, our performances have been excellent, even though the results haven't quite been there. We should have beaten Sunderland quite comfortably. We beat Accrington very comfortably. We were the better team against Blackpool, and we absolutely battered Swindon a couple of Saturdays ago, and that was an absolute smash and grab by them to take the win in that one. I've noticed you've conceded quite a few goals in recent games. I'm hoping that our possession play is going to unlock your defence, and I'm hoping for a repeat of the epic scenes on my 40th birthday weekend when we came down almost 3 years ago and won 4-1. I'm not going to be quite that confident. I'm going to go for a 3-1 away win.
Tim, we hope you're wrong, but it's been great having you on Matchday Live. Much appreciated.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. Take care, guys. Good luck after 5 o'clock for the rest of the season.
Thank you, Tim. That was the thoughts of Tim Robinson from the Railway Men podcast. He predicts a 3-1 win, Gary. It's interesting, isn't it? Because most of the fans, certainly that we've had on over the past few weeks, have predicted comfortable Imps victories. We know what's happened since, so maybe it bodes well that we've got a fan on that's predicted his own side to win this afternoon.
Let's hope so. Yeah, although I don't ever want to be reminded of the Tim's 40th birthday weekend again. Thank you very much. I'd rather talk about the season before, where we did 4-1 at their place. No, it's nice. Do you know what? It's actually nice to have a fan on who talks in glowing terms about his team as well, because obviously we had the Swindon fan on who didn't, and we've had a couple of fans on who have been a little bit, not defeatist, but, they're not going through great seasons. It's just nice to hear of a side who do things the right way, who do bring youth players through, and who the fans are connected with. And likewise, I wish them every success after, let's say, 5:10 tonight, because we might score in injury time.
Yeah, and Tim's still in our virtual green room as well. Maybe he's knocking on the door trying to get back in as well. But no, you're absolutely right, Gary. Right, we've been asking for fans to send messages in because, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it's been a year, or it will be a year tomorrow to the day, since 9,000 fans watched the Imps take on Burton Albion. It seems a lot longer ago, doesn't it, than a year. Great result that day as well. The atmosphere, absolutely fantastic. Alan Long has some of those messages from fans right now.
Thanks, Sam, and welcome to, Upper 7. It's normally a little bit noisier up here than it is at the moment. I'm looking around and it's very quiet. Normally this place is bouncing on a match day. I've come up here because we've had a lot of messages, as you said, from fans. So I just wanted to read them out and thought, where better place to do it than up here in Upper 7. So, the first one, happy 10th birthday to George Watt. George was at the Burton match last March, and he had a great time watching with his friends. At half-time, he heard his birthday message being read out over the speakers. I'm glad you heard it, George. Hope we'll be back watching the Amps very soon. That's from Mum, Dad, Hannah and Louisa. Lorraine Hackney says, big Imps hello to her fellow football group, Yvonne Williams, Jackie and Terry Kay. We're missing the crowds and the singing and the thrills. Go Imps. Walter Cinco, hi Walter, wants to give John and Tom a message, as he's missing the matchday experience and even missing John's burger eating. Sounds good. Sam Kendall is missing Noel and Tracy O'Callaghan, Ian and Zoe Blakesley and Kev Potterton. Richard and Dave Wheeler, Jason Richardson is looking forward to seeing you both on match days, although Richard, there's no doubt you will be messaging throughout today's game. Let's hope it's lots of goals. Big shout out to footy family Keith Dixon, Tom Palmer, Dewey Owen, Nicky Owen and Gail Hedden. Soon be back again, guys. That's from Carol Dixon. Emma Crellin misses her Imps family. She says hello to all her friends up there in the Co-op Upper, which is just down there, and hopes that her season ticket neighbour is safe and well. Chris Kalili, hi Chris. He says he's missing Andy Pearson's moaning. Aren't we all, Chris? Can't wait to see his grumpy mate again on match days very, very soon. Jackie Atkin wishes her football family, Shirley, Sam, Jane, Mark, Carol and Kev and all the Lady Imps well. Pete from Hartlepool would just like to say a big hello to all the ex-Brewer lads. That's Jim, Andy, Adam, Rob, Dave, Sid, Mel, Connor, Phil, Jez, etc, etc, etc. Can't wait to get back to Lincoln for a beer and a crack. Up the Imps, Pete Donworth. Go for it, Imps. In a year It's been a year since we saw you, and although we're enjoying watching all the games on iFollow, it just isn't the same as being up there in the co-op stand tier 4 and singing, shouting and cheering the guys on. You're amazing. That's from Trevor and Wendy Masson. And finally, massive hug. We miss those. All the fans who support the Lady Imps Supporters Association. We really miss seeing you on a match day, especially in the fan zone. So that's Jackie and Keith, Nikki, Emma Lou, Julie, Adele, Joe, Jane, Mandy, Lucy, Georgie, Barbara, Adam, Steve, Jane, Heidi, Rosie, Enid, Sally, Sue, Ian, Alan and Sue, Charlotte, Kaz, to name but just a few. Can't wait to celebrate together at the bank. In the meantime, it's been a huge privilege to be Matchday supporters today. And guys, thank you so much on behalf of everybody here at Lincoln City. Well, finally for me, stay safe, guys, and we cannot wait to have you back in this stadium and have this part of the ground, as well as everywhere else, bouncing. Sam, back to you.
Absolutely brilliant. And Al, we can't wait to be back there as well. Just great insight. And thanks to Al for doing that as well. And thank you to you for sending in your matchday messages as well. I think there was even more than that. Yeah, Miranda James saying missing every single one of our mates up the mighty Imps as well. Let me take you through today's Lincoln City starting 11 then. Michael Appleton making 2 changes to the side that lost to Fleetwood in midweek. The starting 11 in full is Alex Palmer, Regan Poole, Adam Jackson, Lewis Monsmer, Cohen Bramall. Teo Eden is in the midfield spots today. He's alongside Conor McGrandles and James Jones. It is then Morgan Rogers, Brennan Johnson and Callum Morton up front. Long, Hopper, Scully, Archibald, Ioma, Anderson and Rowan. I know we mentioned Morton earlier, Gary, but when you look at that front 3, it screams pace, doesn't it? Morgan Rogers, Brennan Johnson, Callum Morton.
It does scream pace. Do you know what? It also screams balance. And I think that's important because Rogers and Johnson both complement each other perfectly. They're both players that can go outside or inside. We see Anthony Scully often coming in the right channel, which works in some games. So in this one, I think it's a lot more balanced. I think that Callum Morton will stay central much more, so he'll be more available for some of those balls into the box. And look, even though we haven't had a great run in terms of results, we've still been putting balls into the box and often just haven't had people on the end of them. And we're pinning a lot of hope today on Callum Morton being the man on the end of the ball.
Harry Anderson back in the squad as well. It was great to have his insight on Matchday Live. I think it was about a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, but brilliant to see him back on the bench because we know what an asset he can be, bringing him on when the game is stretched. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, it's just for still Saturday, Tuesday. We need our good players. And Harry Anderson was a key player for us at the beginning of the season. You saw when we played Crewe at their place, he got the goal. He had a great evening that evening. He was creative. He's, again, a little bit different. When he comes on, he's a little bit more direct. He's bullish. He's probably a bit stronger than some of our other wingers. He also offers us an option at right wing back should we choose to switch things up a little bit as well. So he's probably not the headline today, but he might well be, because having Harry Anderson back and fit is going to be big for us over the next 15 games.
Gary, we've raced through the show, haven't we? It's been a brilliant one. Really enjoyed it. We've got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to chat all things League One now. Take us through some of the fixtures. Let's start, as we can see, there's some big ones. Gillingham, Ipswich Town. That took place at 1 o'clock. I'll be honest, I don't know the score of that because I've been slightly distracted with this show. I'm sure someone will let me know in the comments. Hull versus Bristol Rovers then. Joe Barton certainly proving to be a popular appointment, isn't he, Gary?
Yeah, definitely. I know Gillingham were beating Ipswich, by the way, which was huge if that's still the case. I actually think Bristol Rovers will be a stronger prospect over the course of the next few games. I think Joey Barton's an interesting manager because I think he'll galvanise. I think he'll pull the team together. He did it very, very well at Fleetwood. He went in there when they were struggling and kind of pulled them together and got them up the table. Whether he's got it to take them to the next step or not, I don't know. But in terms of this afternoon's game, they're going to be very compact. I think they'll be difficult for Hull to beat. I don't envisage a thumping Hull win, as I seem to predict most weeks. I think if Hull do win, it will be a narrow result, but I could see it being a draw.
Different comments coming in. A couple of people say 1-0 to Gillingham at the moment, and a couple of people saying 1-1. I think Ipswich have just equalised. So after 67, 68 minutes, I believe it's 1-1 in that game. Yeah, Ben Ward. It's normally you correcting Ben Ward, isn't it, Gary? He's gone the other way this time.
Yeah, it's unusual, isn't it? He's actually gone out and done some research there, found out the score.
We'll let you get that one in with a couple of minutes left to go. Some of the big games, Sunderland, Rochdale. Sunderland have got some key injuries as well. You know, we talk about injuries that our squad has. We know it's a young Lincoln City squad, but actually it's a bit of an aging. That's probably a bit disparaging from me there, but it's a bit of an aging Sunderland team, and they've got some key injuries.
They have, and they're not the only ones. Look, we talk about our injuries. I think Sunderland have got 5 or 6 out. Hull have got 1 out. Ipswich have just lost John Nolan. So the players in and around the teams rather in and around us are losing players. Peterborough, I think, lost Jack Taylor for a couple of weeks as well. So it's not just us. This Saturday, Tuesday is really taking a toll on players. I can see Sunderland beating Rochdale though. They may have 5 players out, but they've got a really deep squad. They've got some great players. Charlie Wyke isn't out. Aidan McGeady isn't out. Lyndon Gooch isn't out. So they've got a real attacking threat as well. They're the team I think most likely, other than us, obviously, to join Peterborough in the top 2 by the end of the season.
Yeah, Rochdale lost 5 out of their last 7 games in League One as well, so that does look pretty ominous. Burton versus Peterborough then. Gary, the division's 2 most informed sides. Peterborough leading the form guide, but Burton following on just from them. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank is doing absolute wonders once again, isn't he, at the Pirelli?
Yes, he did great work for them in his first spell there. He's doing great work again this time round. They had a strong January, signed some really good players. They might be a little bit weaker today because I think Ryan Broom is on loan from Peterborough, so it's unlikely that he'll play. So it does give Peterborough a tiny advantage. You would expect Peterborough to win looking at the league table. Looking at the form table, it's likely to be closer. I think that, again, has got all the hallmarks of a potential upset. I think that Burton are going to be really difficult to beat. Stand by my prediction of a couple of weeks ago that they'll stay up, and they'll be delighted if they can grab a point from a Peterborough, and it's possible.
Yeah, they'll be delighted, and so will we. Finally, Gary, Doncaster versus Plymouth. Talk about the highs and lows of football. The lows of Darren Moore leaving for Sheffield Wednesday. The highs of going out and beating Portsmouth last week with Andy Butler in charge. They've got another tough game this afternoon.
They have. I've been writing Doncaster off for a while. Now Darren Moore's moved on. All of a sudden, they seem to have, it might even have galvanised a little bit. It might be a kind of, right, well, we'll show you. We've lost our manager again, but we're going to go out and we're going to do well. Portsmouth are a team, obviously, that are struggling with Kenny Jackett, kind of his health issues as well. So I wouldn't read too much into that result last week. Plymouth are a decent side on their day, as we've seen. I think that'll be a good game for the neutrals as well. I can just see Doncaster. They've had a bit of a slide. I can see them arresting that slide today and grabbing 3 points. And obviously, in terms of the playoff race, that's not what we want to see. But I can see them turning it around a little bit.
How's the league table going to be looking at 5 o'clock, 5:10 this afternoon, Gary?
I wouldn't like to say, Sam, because there's so many variables and there's so many good sides in there. We still look in a great position for automatic promotion. We have got to put this slide to one side. Really tough game coming up on Tuesday night as well. I think today will be a tough game for us, and I know they all are. But you look on paper at what we've got. If Teo Edun comes off in the 4 role and settles and puts the sort of performance he did against Blackpool at home last year, I think the table could see Lincoln City in second place, but it remains to be seen.
I'm afraid to say, once again, your outright prediction was bang on the money in the midweek, Gary. So what are you going for this afternoon?
I am going to go for a narrow Lincoln City win, but I think I've actually taken both teams to score and Callum Morton to score for us. So there you go. There
you go. He knows his stuff, doesn't he? Gary Hutchinson, really appreciate your time. Myself and Gary will be back at the usual midweek time of 5:45 when the Imps travel to Ipswich. In the meantime, you can get your match pass now by going to www.weareimps.com/iFollow. And fingers crossed, Gary Hutchinson is right. Thanks very much for your time. And thanks to our match sponsors as well. Lisa, much appreciated, and enjoy the game. Bye for now.